Welcome back. This is episode 6 of the Eagle Experience. On today's episode, we're here with Amber Mullinax, so let's get straight into it. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, my name's Amber Mullinax. I am a mom and a wife. I've been married to my husband, Drew. We're going to be celebrating 6 years of marriage in October this year. And then I have a beautiful 4-year-old girl named Katie. I am also a co-owner of a salon here in Gainesville called Maine's Hair Co. with also another Chestatee alumni, Micah Satterfield.
That's great. So on that topic, tell us about really just your ties to the community.
So I love the Gainesville community, and I also love the Chestatee community. It's actually really cool now that our salon is here in Gainesville. My parents are still in the house that I grew up in here in Chestatee area, but our salon has opened up a lot of opportunities, one being that we got to come back and speak at the LWE Industry Day at Chestatee High School and talk about our business and how we got there, which is really cool. And I just love the people here. I go to town, I see people that I know every single day, and I love that. So
Now, let's get a little bit of action. What are some of your most memorable experiences here at Chestatee?
I would say one of my favorite, obviously, was our trip to Orlando with the chorus department with Mr. Elliott. We went in 8th grade, and that was so fun. I also just loved being able to go to Boston my senior year at Chestatee High School with our yearbook team. We actually went with me and my co-editor and our advisor, Natalie White. And we went to Boston for this yearbook expo and learned about all these things to use for our yearbook that year.
Now, let's go a little bit more into depth about your career. Tell us about was there any influences now at Chestatee today? You can take cosmetology classes and things like that. So tell us how you kind of worked your way from Chestatee into what you're now doing as a career.
Oh, that's a great question. So it's kind of crazy because I didn't ever think that I would actually do hair. I was always the friend that did hair and makeup for all of my friends for homecoming, prom, everything like that. But I never thought I would actually do it as a career. And it was actually Natalie White, who is my English teacher in high school, that inspired me to go into English. I loved writing. She ended up putting me into her yearbook class my 10th grade year after having me as a freshman. And I just loved it so much to where I became her editor for the yearbook my senior year. So after I graduated, I went to UNG and I studied English. And once I got my degree, right before Drew and I got married, he was like, look, I know that you love English and I know that you could go and teach and be great at that, but I also know that you've always wanted to do hair and that's where your true passion lies. And he was the one that inspired me to get into that. So it was Natalie that led me along the English route, and she inspired me to teach because I loved having her. But I think overall as a whole, it's really cool to look back on every teacher that was here for a specific reason for these students. And we just had a really special group of teachers that were here that inspired me in all ways. If I did want to go teach, which was my original plan, they were why I wanted to do it.
Now, you were a student here way back in 2007 through 2010. So tell us how Chestatee has changed, teachers, places.
Yeah, said just the group of teachers that were here were so special. I truly feel like God placed them in my life for specific reasons through things that I went through from middle school to high school. Obviously, after our tour today, the buildings have changed and the teachers have changed, but it was really cool still walking through and still feeling all the special memories that I still had here.
Now, as we mentioned on our previous episode, something that always does change is students. So let's take a look at you.
Oh, no.
This is 2009. So
Yeah.
this is your 7th grade year, right?
Yep, 7th grade.
And then
I think I forgot it was picture day.
this is you.
That's me.
Yep.
We're very thankful that you glow up a little bit when you get older and you find yourself a little bit more.
Now, as you've kind of already mentioned, did you have any influences from Chestatee that caused you to make the decision to go into what you're doing now?
I definitely think that really a lot of people played a part in that by just the encouragement that they gave to me, like I said, with the special people here that I did get to meet. But really, I think Natalie was my biggest one on getting me into English, and that was one of my passions, and I wanted to teach. And I really actually hope one day, even with owning my own hair studio, that I can go out and somehow work education into my love for hair as well.
So tell us, what does chastity mean to you?
I think when I think about Chestatee, I think back to a situation I went through my 10th grade year where one of my best friends committed suicide. And I ended up going to school the next day. And my mom had sent a message to one of my teachers, and I had no idea. But just being welcomed into her classroom that morning, and she prayed over me and she talked me through, and she said, you know what, no matter what you need, if you need a quiet space for the day, then you come in here, whatever. And then going throughout my classes each day, every teacher came in and they pulled me aside and they cared and they talked to me, and they didn't even have words to say, because what do you say in a situation like that? But somehow they did. And I remember just sitting in class, and another teacher that was really close to me came in, Coach Anderson, and he just laid his hand on my back and he just started praying over me, like in the middle of class. And that was just really cool. Not only that he would do that and be bold enough to do that, but also that the teacher that was teaching that class just let him do that. And I think that says a lot about what Chestatee is. And the time that I went there is that the people there really cared about you and who you were as a person. And they didn't just care that you were a student walking the hall. They truly cared about you and your life and how your heart was and where your mind was at. And that's what I think back about when I think about Chestatee.
What advice would you give to current students here at Chestatee?
Honestly, I think current students that are in middle school here at Chestatee, love yourself enough to not care what anybody thinks about you, and love yourself well enough to know that like you can be true to yourself. And when you get older, you miss out on so many opportunities just because you are afraid of what people may have thought about you or said about you. And when you really get down to it, life's too short and you only have this one life. So live it well and love yourself enough to go after what you're passionate about.
So in other words, YOLO. Was that a thing?
YOLO, that was a thing. That was huge.
Now we're going to do some of our short response questions, which if you feel the need, you can go ahead and slow it down. But this is Talent Talk. Question number 1. Did you get in trouble a lot as a student?
I really don't think I was a troublemaker that much in school, but I did get in trouble for talking a lot, and that was my biggest thing. And I remember specifically Mr. Elliott telling me that I wanted to join chamber choir in 8th grade. He wanted to have me in there as a singer and a student, but I just talked too much. So I told him, I will stop talking, sit me across the room, whatever I can do to be in here. Because it was truly just a personal problem that I had. I just talked too much. And I haven't really grown out of that. So.
What's the weirdest trend your generation had back then?
Oh, okay. Weirdest trend. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a weird trend because it was popular, but we used to wear really oversized T-shirts, and we would tie them up on the side with a ponytail holder and have that. And we would also put bows on the shoulders to like make them almost tank tops, but they weren't really. That was like a weird trend that we had. But also people used to, I don't remember what it was called, so don't quote me on that, but people used to lay down in planks everywhere, like across the school. And I don't know if that was more so middle school or high school, but they would just plank anywhere in the school, and it was really weird. And they called it something, but I don't remember.
It sounds like really middle school thing.
Yeah, it was. I think though we were in high school when that was popular, so that's even more embarrassing. But
was there a teacher you acted normal around, but secretly you were scared of them?
I don't think so, because I was more of like a teacher's pet. I didn't mean to, but I was like the kid that babysat all of my teacher's kids. So if I was like one of the reliable students, and I felt like I had a good connection with all of my my teachers, so didn't really feel like there was anybody I was scared for.
What was your dream job as a kid?
Dream job, I always wanted to teach special education. Yep. What
was your favorite field trip you ever went on?
Favorite field trip? I would say Orlando or the Honor Society trip for when we went to Savannah and Cumberland Island was really cool. But probably most favorite was Boston senior year when we went there.
If we could do a reunion of middle school students from the years you went here, what would your role be in that event? Would you be the organizer, the storyteller, the DJ?
I would probably organize. I like organizing events and still keeping up with people. I still talk to a ton of people that we went to school with. Our class was really cool because we were all friends. So we didn't really have cliques or anything like that. We all kind of hung out. So I would probably organize, I think.
What was your favorite teacher back then and why?
Middle school or high school?
Oh, both.
Both. Okay. That's a hard question. I would have to say for high school, it's again Natalie White. She impacted my life so much. We always said that we're like the same person in two different bodies because we get each other so well. But she really helped me through a lot during my high school time. And I would honestly say, not just because he's sitting in here on the podcast, but Mr. Elliott was probably one of my favorite middle school teachers, and Heather Hayes, which it's really cool that now she's now Miss Chandler. But now I cut her hair, and I just think that that's really cool and full circle.
What was the most popular hangout spot for you and your friends?
Oh, hangout spot was probably just at our houses. We, as middle schoolers, didn't really do anything crazy. We would just go hang out at each other's houses. My mom was always a champ and would let us have like 13 girl sleepovers and made us pancakes in the morning. So we were all about that.
What's something you wish you could go back and tell your younger self?
Oh, I wish I could go back and tell my younger self to just not care as much what people think. You spend so much time trying to be enough for what people's standards are and not enough for like who you want to be as a person. So I would tell myself to be who I truly am and be proud of that.
If you could relive one school day, which one would it be?
One school day. I don't know. I would relive all of them. Like, truly, I know people have this aura around high school, or middle school, that they just didn't have a great time. And I'll say middle school was kind of traumatic. Okay. It wasn't the best. We learn a lot about ourselves. There's a lot of drama in middle school, but in high school, I would relive any one of those days just because I was surrounded by really great people and, friends, teachers, the people that were at Chestatee when I were there were just so special. And like I said, I truly believe the people that were there were placed by God for those times in my life.
Now, you've already called it traumatic, but if you had to describe your middle school experience in one word, what would it be?
It was drama all the time. Yeah, drama would be the word for middle school.
Drama. Well, that's a good way to wrap up today's episode. So if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to share and subscribe. I'm Zach Roach, and this is Amber Mullinax. So until next time, thanks for joining us for another Eagle Experience.